Welcome back, kitchen table wizards, welcome back deck brewers from all over the world. If you know my channel and you know me by now, you know I love alternate win conditions. Now this is the second part of my top 25 alternate win conditions. If you haven't seen the first part, make sure to check it out later. These are our last 10 alternative win conditions that I like personally for flavor purposes and also based on power. Now, if you like my content, make sure to give this video a like and leave a comment below to tell me what your favorite alternative win condition is. Now, before I count down from 10 to 1, I do want to give an honorable mention, a little bit of a shout out to the Demonic Pact. This great enchantment has a few modes and the last one is you lose the game. Of course, how you want to play this is to get all the value out of the enchantment and then use this card and give it to your opponent to force him to use the last ability.
KO!
Now, enough with the intro, let's head into the last 10 alternative win conditions I want to tell you about. We start with number 10, and for this alternative win condition to work, you need to have 0 cards in your library. Both Laboratory Maniac, Jace, Wielder of Mysteries and Thassa's Oracle have this alternative win condition built in their card. Now, I like to brew a deck using Leveler and Inverter of Truth to get rid of my library. At number 9 we find the Mace's End. If you like lands, guild and all 5 colors of magic, this is definitely a fine alternative win condition. If you control 10 gates with different names, you win the game. And the Mace's End helps you looking for gates itself. You can tap it for 3 mana and search your library for a gate card and put it into the battlefield. Now, if you only would use the Mace's End, it would take you a long time. Now, luckily, there are a lot of interesting cards in green that help you search for gates. Open the Gates, Circuitous Route, District Guide and Gate Creeper Vine are great cards that search for gates. At number 8 we find Atemsis the All-Seeing. The weird looking sphinx that you might already seen in one of my decks. For this you need 6 cards in your hand with different converted mana costs. Now this is not really easy to achieve, but luckily we have the following card, Seasons Past, to get all those cards back from our graveyard to our hand. And adding black for a graveyard synergy also seems like a good idea if you want to brew around Atemsis. Revel in Riches got the honorable mention in the first part of my top 25 list. Now, if you like artifact win conditions, I have 3 cards for you. Let's have a look. I have a dragon that steals artifacts from your opponent, and when you have 20 artifacts, you win the game. Or you have a mechanized production that needs 8 artifacts that are similar that win you the game. Or there is Mirrodin Besieged, an enchantment that needs you to have 15 artifacts in your graveyard. So the most obvious thing is to create a lot of clue tokens or a lot of treasure tokens or maybe even food tokens because they are similar and they work well with the Tyrant and the mechanized production. Now what you can also do is create infinite amount of mirrors with the Galvanizer, the Palladium Mirror and the Mirror Propagator. I have this combo idea from one of our fans, so thanks a lot for that. Now for the Mirrodin Besieged combo, you need to build your deck in a different way. I would use Riddlesmith and Shram and a bunch of 0 casting cost artifacts to draw you cards and to get cards into your graveyard. At number 6 I put the Biovisionary, another card in green and blue. It's a human wizard, and at the beginning of the end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. Of course, we need clone effects, crackling counterpart, fated infatuation, mirage mirror, quasi-duplicate, rite of replication, mirror image, a lot of clone effects, and this comes from the original card clone to get a lot of biovisionaries on the battlefield. The first alternate win condition in the Naya colors, meaning red, green and white, that I found is Mael's Aria. If you like big creatures, this is really the card you want to brew around. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have a creature with power 20 or greater, you win the game. This is a recent card from Ikoria, and it will just make any creature into a creature with power 20 or greater. Now, of course, you can also build your deck around it in a different way. For example, with dragons and counters. This is one of the decks I already made, and you can check that deck out right in the link here. Number 4 is also a sweet one. It's called Liliana's Contract, and if you like tribal, and I do love tribal and I love demons, then this is a great card to brew around. You can build your deck with a lot of green and black demons like I did, or you could easily use a card like Kindred Summons, and then you can play whatever creature you like because they will all be demons anyway. At number 3 I put a vampire assassin named Trata the Silencer. Now this card can't be blocked, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Trata's owner shuffles Trata into their library. So that means when it attacks and kills a creature, you have to shuffle it back in your library, and it's not easy to get it back. Now luckily, and also thanks to Absurd Heroine, I found out about this nice combo with Enigmatic Incarnation and Treacherous Blessing, and for example Omen of the Hunt, to get Trata back a lot easier. So you can win after a few turns of attacking with Trata. Another way is to use the Helm of Host to get more copies of Trata, or to use the Strionic Resonator to have the ability triggered twice. Number 2 for me is one of the first alternative win conditions that really caught my eye. Let's talk about the Door to Nothingness. Now this 5 mana artifact doesn't really need a lot of explanation. Now you just need to untap it and then sacrifice it with 10 mana of different colors, and target player loses the game.
You lose.
Pretty simple. And it would go well into my infinite mana deck as well. And at number 1 I put a card that if your opponent knows the card and you will arrive with your 250 card deck, he will already know what's going on. And if your opponent doesn't know the card and you lose with your 250 card deck, you might end up looking like a serious noob. Of course, I'm talking about Battle of Wits. This 5 mana blue enchantment needs you to have 200 or more cards in your library to win you the game, and this at the beginning of your upkeep. Now the funny thing was that back in the day this card was even played in tournament, and it was really hilarious to see people arrive with like these piles of cards and start playing with it. Alright, well, this was it. This was my top 25 list of alternative win conditions. I really hoped you enjoyed my list. If you haven't seen the first part, you can find it in the description below. Now make sure to give the video a like if you like my content, and leave a comment below to tell me about your favorite alternate win condition. Hope to see you next Friday with a new deck, and otherwise, make sure to stay safe and keep it casual. Bye.